Good evening, and thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Matt Lakis, and I'm the founding principal for Des Moines Prep, a new charter school that's coming to Des Moines this fall. I know that we have some of our Trailblazer family already here interested in hearing more about our school, but for those of you that are now joining us for the first time, welcome. We're so excited that you're here, and can't wait to share a little bit more about our school with you. Tonight, I'm going to go over a high-level overview of Des Moines Prep, who we are and what our mission is. Then we're going to transition to a couple amazing guests that we have joining us here tonight. The first being an exciting new partnership that we have with Iowa Jobs for America's Graduates, and we're joined by the president and CEO. And then we'll be introducing some of our new staff members. Some of them that you have not even had a chance to meet yet, and that'll be our counselor and a special education teacher. So we have a packed agenda. Thank you again for being here. If you have questions throughout tonight's event, please go ahead and throw some questions in the chat. If we have time at the end of this evening, I'm more than happy to answer those questions for you at home. And if we can't get to them, we will absolutely reach out to you and get you those answers that you deserve. Thank you again for being here, and let's get started. So, Des Moines Prep. At a glance, we are a tuition-free charter high school, and we are enrolling a founding class of up to 150 students for this fall. Originally, when we first came out and said that we were opening, we planned on 150 ninth grade students, but to be honest with you, something interesting happened. Without once mentioning an 8th grade wait list, we've seen an overwhelming amount of support from 8th grade families across the Des Moines Metroland. And with that, we've had to reevaluate how those 150 seats are filled. Right now, we're looking to fill all 150, but how that gets spliced between 8th and 9th grade is still up to interpretation. On May 15th, so in a little less than a week, we're going to be taking a look at those numbers and making a final decision as to whether or not we're going to continue down the path of just an inaugural 9th grade class or open up an early high school program for a small cohort of 8th graders. I'm very excited to be reevaluating that decision here in the next week. A little bit more about us. We are non-selective, so regardless of how you come to us, we are excited to serve you. We are open to all students, and as long as you're committed to our values and want to continue down the path of college and career exploration, we're the right place for you. A little bit more about us is that we're located in Des Moines East Village at 106 East 6th Street in Des Moines, and I think that that's a really important piece to note. We're easy to get to, and we are very conveniently situated right next to a bunch of Iowa businesses and footsteps from the state capitol, which gives our students access to some of the most influential leaders across our state. So our mission, what are we trying to accomplish and why are we a little bit different? Des Moines Prep is a safer and smaller community, and I can't emphasize that enough. Students do not slip through the cracks at Des Moines Prep. We are intentionally starting with just 150 students and scaling that year over year until we're situated between 600 to 700 students. And as you look across the metro, you see crowded hallways, you see students coming and going through many entrances and exits of cross high schools. And what we're trying to offer is a place for students to come and learn every single day, because that's what we're here to do. And students can't feel safe learning if they don't feel like they're a part of a community. And that's exactly what we're trying to build at Des Moines Prep. And once we have that safety and security, we focus into what we do best, which is college and career preparation, and that's at the core of our mission. We have personalized college planning. From the moment you walk in your 9th grade year, we are talking to you about what post-secondary learning looks like in your future, trying to find that best fit for you. We have rigorous academics, holding students to very high expectations and really expecting a lot of both our students and teachers. And at the end of it, we're explicitly teaching those professional skills that regardless of where you go in life, you're going to need. How to shake somebody's hand, how to look them in the eye, how to interview, how to network. Those are translational skills that will really benefit a student in the long term. Finally, we're connecting our students with the community. career exploration and figuring out what you like and where you want to go in life, or maybe what you don't like and where you don't want to go, is just as important to us. And so this isn't a once a quarter field trip. This isn't a once a year field trip to get out of the building. Our students are going to be connected with the community around them on a weekly and a monthly basis to ensure that they have an opportunity to both practice their skill set of professionalism, but then also just learn more about the world around them. Because what a great gift we have to be in Des Moines East Village and have access to so many wonderful entrepreneurs, politicians, and business leaders. So I'm joined today by somebody very special, and I'm excited to announce an official partnership with iJag, or Iowa Jobs for America's Graduates. Dr. Wendy Mim Harold is here with me, and she's the president and CEO of the organization. Wendy, thank you for joining me.
No problem, Matt, and good evening to you and good evening to all of our listeners.
One of our primary values at Des Moines Prep is connection. We believe in connecting with folks. And with that mindset, I'd love to just give you an opportunity to connect with our families or viewers at home and share a little bit more about yourself. Who's Wendy, and how did you get to where you are today?
Well, who Wendy is that she has over 25 years of experience in working in education and over 35 years of experience in education, economic development, and workforce. And I was called to serve as the president and CEO about 2.5 years ago. And the reason I said yes, because it is an amazing opportunity to connect students to employers, students to education, students to entrepreneurial activities, or students to enlisting in our military. So it just fits who I am as a person. And my experience, I've worked in, as I stated, in education, and I served as the vice president of economic development. What's that? It's really about that connection of education in the high school with work-based learning opportunities, connecting them to short-term and credit training at the community college in Northeast Iowa, as well as making sure that I'm doing continuing education with individuals once I got into the employment. So I've got a vast array of knowledge, and I came to such an amazing team. I got to help with getting the team. We're all new. All of the leadership team is new at iJag, and I'm just really excited to have this partnership with DSM.
Thank you so much. So let's actually talk a little bit about iJag, because iJag's been around for a while. And so when I was when our team was kind of brainstorming, like, where do we go in terms of partnership in our local community, iJag was one of the first names that came up, and I think it's because of your mission.
I would tell you we've been in existence for 25 years. We started with one program in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and now we have over 198 programs across the state of Iowa. And I'll talk about some fun facts in a second, but what our mission is, it's really about empowering students to be future-ready leaders and to assure that they have an academic plan or a work plan upon graduation. And the thing that I love about what we're doing is that the cool part about iJag is a want, need, and benefit. And so we make sure what you're doing and why we're so excited to partner with you, it's about making sure that they're career ready, but have that hands-on experience, making sure while they're in that education classroom, it's about one caring adult working with that student to connect them to what their next goal and future is for them. So that's the really neat part of partnering with you. It's that safe environment, but also having that caring adult that's gonna help them plan.
And if you've met me or anyone on our team or have joined us for any of the other webinars, you can sense there's a lot of synergy between your excitement about connecting students with the outside world and what we're trying to do here at Des Moines Prep. So it definitely felt like a very natural fit. So you've been around, you said 20 years or 25 years?
25 years. We're
Okay.
celebrating May 8th, 25 years. And when you talked about being at East Village, working with legislators, entrepreneurs, Association of Business and Industry is there, Iowa Business, Iowa ABI, and then also Iowa Business Council. But we partner and already have stakeholders. We have a lot of the same stakeholders, so that synergy is really important. But the thing that I want to express is just the outcomes that we can help aid with outcomes for the students, what you're trying to do at Des Moines Prep. So currently we have 198 programs serving over 10,232 students. That we hit that milestone just this year. So we've doubled in size in the last 2.5 years. We're an impact statewide, but what's really most impressive is that last year we had a 96% graduation rate, and right now we're trending at 97%. And why is that? That's not 100%, but you have to keep in mind we're in schools that have some chronic absenteeism, who are also having some students who are undercredited, or their grade point is building up, or they may be impacted by poverty, or they may be having multiple obstacles. So with getting a 96% graduation rate last year, we are already above the state average. And when we talk about the Des Moines schools, we have a number of our programs that were 100% graduation rate. Currently, we're in 35 programs in central Iowa, in the Des Moines central area. Our success rates of our students continuing on education is 48% continuing on in education and 44% going into employment. We also have a lot of our students who are working while they continue on their education, but it's really very important to note on that is that they are working in a career field, having an internship or a work experience that's leading up for them to continue on with their education. So it's not just that we're throwing them into any job. We're very intentional and to make sure it's in the right field that they want to go into so they have that interest base right away.
I really appreciate how over the last 25 years, iJag has really found itself reflecting on student outcomes specifically and reevaluating and innovating and constantly trying to get them connected with the next thing out there and the community that they currently live within, and being very responsive to our students and their needs and employer needs as well. I think that aligns very much with our philosophy at Des Moines Prep and how we're going to be responsive to the student data put in front of us and how we're going to innovate and do things differently to make sure that all kids get what they need.
Yes, and that's what's really exciting about partnering with you too, Matt, is that we're going to be innovating our curriculum a little bit. So if we go to the next slide, our three main pillars and what we target on is really to the trauma-informed care education, right? And what does that mean? What does that mean to the parents that are out there? It's about having that caring adult that's working with the students 5 days a week to make sure that they're on track with getting their coursework done, making sure they're on track to increase that grade point, making sure they're on track to whatever they're working on in that pathway, right? But also it's about teaching those adaptability skills, resiliency skills. So the Iowa Business Council did a survey of their top employers across the state of Iowa. McKinsey, which is a company, a research company, also did a research study about what are those top skills that you need to be successful in any career. If you're going to be in a Fortune 500 company, if you're going to be in the healthcare, if you're going to own your own business, what are those top skills? And that's what we teach at iJag. So our top skills that we're focused on is communication, making sure that we focus on organization and service mindset, making sure we focus on resiliency and grit, and then also how do you deal with change? And if you really think about that, all of us experience that every day. So making sure that you have that skill set to be able to maneuver through what life throws at you in your furthering education, or what might happen in your family, or might happen in a relationship, or might, God forbid, you're laid off from a job. You never know. And so that skill is absolutely critical. So that's part of trauma-informed care. That's what we do there. And then the next pillar that we really focus on is project-based learning. What does that mean? Well, that means hands-on learning. You're learning competencies hands-on. So that means when you come to class each day, you're going to have assignments, and you're going to work through those assignments, and you're going to demonstrate that you've met those competencies. And we're going to do that together and help develop that curriculum for that college ready and academic ready. So that'll be fun. And we have lots of curriculum that we've spent a great deal of time and energy with updating in the last couple years, and we partner with Covey, the leader in me, excuse me. We want to make sure that we're really focused on those skills, and that's what we do through the project-based learning. And then the next is employer engagement. What does that mean? And if you want to go to the next slide, I'll go through that, what employer engagement means. If you look at it, it's that exploration. So when you're talking about that potential bringing in eighth grade, it's making sure that the eighth grade students are exploring the different careers by doing an assessment, doing some research, having businesses come in and talk about those careers, but then also making sure that you're getting out and touching and feeling what would that career look like. And then the next is that exposure. That's our next level. And that is really making sure that you get an immersed opportunity where you're doing an extended job shadow, or that you're meeting with an employer and you're doing some work experience. Because we have a lot of students who want to work at a younger age. So let's see how we can start as a career path, right? And then the next level is the work experience, which we partner with businesses all across the state. And this is really that by the time the 11th and 12th, that's where we're going to make sure you have an authentic internship, you have apprenticeship, pre-apprenticeship, you have a, what they call, oh gosh, I'm trying to say it, an immersed job opportunity where you go into a company, or work experience with a company, or you're doing a capstone with a company, or we're bringing learning into the classroom with a company. So it's, if the experience is 100% focused with the company. So that's another opportunity that the kids will have the opportunity to go through.
Yeah, that's all so amazing and very clear as to why iJag is so popular across the state. I do think one of the interesting things about what's unique about Des Moines Prep and our innovative partnership that we have together is that all Des Moines Prep students will have access to this amazing curriculum, or this hybrid curriculum that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what does a traditional iJag population look like, or how large is it within school size, and how does that compare to 100% of students having access to this opportunity?
Yes, in some of our larger schools. So right now, we're a 5-day-a-week program that has curriculum, and students go and they get credit. But we are 60 students per teacher. Some classes in the 8th grade, much larger, but traditionally it's 60 students per specialist. And what we're doing here is we're going to make sure that every one of your students, so we don't serve every student in our larger schools. In our smaller schools we do, in our more rural schools, because they don't have 500 kids in the classroom, right? So the goal here is to make sure that every student has access to iJag, every student has had access to the whole continuum of trauma-informed education, to the project-based learning, to the employer engagement, the tiers, and also really making sure that we're focusing on that college and academic preparedness. So really making sure if they need that additional tutoring, or they really wanna see what those colleges look like. We're gonna get them out to those colleges and then find out what that entrance is, and then making sure that we're gearing up their coursework and working with them. Because the unique thing too, that all of the students will have is an individualized education plan. So we're gonna be working with them to make sure that they have that plan in place and helping them work through that plan.
Amazing. And, I think that's a perfect segue. Actually, I'll come back to the next slide here in a second to just talk a little bit about what Opportunity Education is going to bring to this innovative partnership, because this is absolutely at its core iJag's curriculum and programming, but we definitely want to make sure that the and isn't lost in the conversation of college and career, right? And so one of the things that Opportunity Education is going to be doing is coming to the table with our College Admissions Advantage program, which has been something our two other private schools in Santa Rosa and in Omaha have been utilizing for some time now, and it has led to major success for our students' acceptance rates into universities. And so what that looks like is at grades 9 and 10, students are participating in college and career prep workshops. They're learning how to take the ACT and beginning to prep for that entrance exam. They're completing strength and value assessments, kind of like what you just talked about a little bit ago, Wendy, both to understand where they're going to go for their career path, but also maybe what major they want to explore at the university level, so they're not wasting their time once they get there. And they're practicing those professionalism skills. That isn't just for the workplace. That's also for college interviews. That's for getting on campus. That's for finding those internships that is going to benefit them for the long term. And then in those grades 11 and 12, that's really where we begin to hone in on best fit. Students receive that personalized college guidance, that counseling and support. They start taking those college visits to really find that best fit university for them. They start exploring the world of LinkedIn and other professional organizations, start getting those letters of rec, and start filling out those college applications with the personalized adult sitting right next to them, making sure that they have everything they need to give it their best shot. And so what's amazing about this college application advantage is that our students have been going places. They've already been doing amazing things. And now with this iJag partnership that we have, we're going to be able to not just set them up for success for the next 4 years after high school, but we're going to be setting them up for success for the long term.
Yeah, and that's what's really exciting about this partnership and teaming up, because we're going to use the best of what your organization has already developed and the best of what iJag's developed. And then we're going to continue to invest in building up our curriculum together. So pretty exciting. Go ahead. I just wanted to say one thing, and we skipped past this, but I do think it's really important to note is that the thing that's another added benefit to the students is that we will have a career association where it's student-led. They're going to run for office, so that's that civic part of it. They're going to do a community service project. That's about giving back to the community and learning those skills about working together in that leadership and teamwork and communication and cross-functional teams. And so that's a really important value added that I just thought it would be good just to bring the attention to the family members of another really great piece that we're going to be building together.
Right. And this isn't something that's just floating in the clouds, some philosophy or some theory that we have together. It's proven. And that's what I love about this. Can you maybe share a couple of stories or maybe one example of a success story of a student or an iJag program that our families would be interested in hearing more about?
I'll give you one. I just got back from Indianapolis with our students, and they did specifically in regards to their career association. We compete nationally too, so they'll have the opportunity to compete in public speaking, entrepreneurship, communication skills, business planning, the list goes on. But one of the things, it was a community service project, and the students went and developed a plan to raise money and give back to the Children's Hospital. They've raised over $6,000, and they're giving back to the Children's Hospital. They were able to meet with the cancer research doctor, being able to get a tour of the University of Iowa's Children's Hospital, also being able to win to get on the national stage against 80,000 other students to compete with their community service project that they did through their career association team. So I think that's a really great success story that ties specifically to that.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about owning, investing, and driving student learning forward all the time. And that is a prime example of kids taking ownership, setting a goal for themselves, and working together to go accomplish that goal. I truly appreciate that. Sorry. So we're wrapping up our time together. And so one of the things that I really wanted to take a moment and just ask you, you have such a wonderful, diverse experience yourself, Wendy. You've been VP at Northeast, Iowa Community College, and you've now been president and CEO of iJag. What's one thing that you've learned from students that you've had the opportunity to serve and work with?
Oh my gosh. Students are so resilient, and they want one person to help them reach their goals and know that you care about them, and they will come to the plate every time because they really, truly want to make a difference in this world. And I just feel blessed every day to work with such amazing students and staff across the state of Iowa.
That's truly wonderful, and I couldn't agree more. Once our hallways are filled with 150 trailblazers next fall, I can't wait for them to just feed off of that same excitement and passion for getting out in the community and serving and really just taking a hold of their futures. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you again for entering into this, hopefully what will be a long and successful partnership together.
No, thank you. I'm just glad that we were able to work out an amazing partnership, and I can't wait to see how this grows as a model across the nation.
Thank you. So next, we're going to spend some time talking about our graduation requirements. A lot of folks have seen this image already if you are already a current student or family with our school. But I want to make just very clear what the general expectations outside of your regular credits that you'd receive by your senior year. And so graduation requirements and what we're hoping our students are able to hit by the time that they're our seniors really comes down to the 4 C's. And this aligns very closely with what we've been discussing just a little moment ago. Our students are expected to graduate with over 40 co-curricular hours. And that means extracurriculars like clubs and sports. Our students are expected to have 40 hours of community service. And you just heard today exactly how we're going to integrate those experiences in for our students in the regular school day with our new iJag college and career programming. We also have 40 hours of career prep where students are getting out into the communities, learning what they like and what they don't like, those internships, apprenticeships. We're expecting our students to graduate with at least 40 hours in that as well. And then you have your 40 hours of college prep experience, whether it's taking a dual credit course, whether that's researching universities that you might apply or attend. It's really about finding that best fit and spending the quality time to get there. And so in addition to those 4 C's, we're also really trying to set students up for long-term success. Yes, all students will graduate with 2 college acceptance letters, not because they have to go to college, but because every student deserves that as an opportunity. And that's a promise and a commitment that we're making to each and every family that enrolls today. But in addition to that, it's not just about college, it's about long-term success. And so all of our students are going to graduate with that 5-year plan with cost-benefit analysis, where they're looking at, if I do go to college, this is how much it's going to cost me. Is this worth it for the career path that I see myself living down the line? That's a really important question to not only ask once, but continue to reevaluate through all 4 to 5 years of the Des Moines Prep program. And that's our commitment to you. Additionally, all students will have an opportunity to complete a senior capstone project where they take their skills and knowledge that they've learned from us over the 4 years that they were in our high school, and they go out into the community and lead and serve and apply that knowledge in a way that makes meaningful impact in our city. And then they come back and they present to a staff panel and express what they're taking away from this amazing experience at Des Moines Prep. And that's what we're trying to get to in the long term. But a lot of families are also wondering, how do you get to that point? Those are some very large goals. Well, there's an old adage that how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. And so I'm going to break down for you exactly what the grade promotion requirements are at Des Moines Prep. So each and every year, as a student moves from, let's say, 9th grade to 10th grade, there's certain expectations they must meet in order to make that transition upward in grade level. The first one, of course, is the 4 C hours. If you break up 40 plus hours over the course of 4 years in high school, that means each and every year a student will have to have 10 co-curricular hours, 10 community service hours, 10 career, and 10 college exploration. And so students need to meet those expectations yearly. Otherwise, over the summer school months, they're going to have to find an opportunity to get in those hours because that's a requirement to move on to the next grade level. Similarly, students need to pass all their classes. You can't be promoted onto the next grade level if you're not passing your classes. And so we will do everything we can to support and assist every student and every family of getting to that lofty goal. But that is an expectation that we're not going to waver from. We're just going to beef up the support to help you get there. And then, of course, we have our attendance minimums. Students need to be in school in order to take meaningful impact from the experience. And we're going to hold high attendance minimums to ensure that our students show up each and every day. And that's a life skill that is going to transcend any career path that they choose. And it's something that we believe is very important to long-term student success. And then lastly, behavior expectations. Whether that's fulfilling a detention, whether that's having that restorative conversation, we want to make sure that before we move a student onto the next grade level, that they've committed to restoring and repairing any behavior any behavior moments that they've had from the prior school year. And so those are kind of the four things that we are going to ensure that we are constantly talking to our students about through their first year in our Des Moines Prep program, because that's the foundation for how we build into such a successful outcome in the long term. And that's a lot of information coming at you, but what I'm most excited to talk to everyone about here tonight are the people that are going to help us get there. And so you can't hold students to high expectations without a high amount of support. And we have two wonderful staff members that are joining me here tonight that you're going to get a chance to meet that are going to help our students reach those high expectations. I'm joined tonight by Jean Muhammad and Allison Tabakhorst, and I want to give them both a moment here to share a little bit about themselves. So thank you both for joining me. Jean, why don't you get started? Can you start off by introducing yourself and just what your role is in our school, and we'll start there.
Yes, my name is Jean Muhammad, and I'm very excited to be our founding counselor.
My name is Allison Tabakhorst. I know my last name is very long, so I also go by Mrs. T, and I am the founding special education teacher.
So, Jean, can you tell us a little bit about your experience? How did you get to becoming the founding counselor at Des Moines Prep?
Sure. So my career started at Boys Town in Omaha, Nebraska, where my husband and I were family teachers for 5 years, living and working with at-risk teens. I have kind of straddled since then. My career has straddled both social work and education. So in social work, I've worked in family preservation and counseling and child welfare, and then transitioning over to education. I was a high school social worker for 5 years and then moved to the district level where I was the student services specialist at a mid-sized district here in Iowa.
Great. Allison, how about you? What's your experience and how you got to us as a founding special education teacher?
So I've been in education for the past 10 years. This is my 10th year working. The past my first 8 years I spent working at a consortium school for all special education, serving students with significant behavior needs, and that couldn't be served in their home district. And then the past 2 years, I have been working at Woodward Granger High School as the resource teacher.
Awesome. Yeah, and Allison and I, we used to work together when I was at Woodward Granger too. So we got a good one, and I know that to be true with both of you. Jean, this question's for you. So what are you most excited about when it comes to taking on your new role at Des Moines Prep?
Well, there's so much that I'm excited about, seriously. But one of the things that stands out to me that I'm most excited about is the idea of being able to put into action our commitment to excellence and joy. That really resonates with me because it aligns with my own personal values. But I'm very excited about helping students see what that actually looks like in a practical day-to-day basis. And I'm really also very excited about working with colleagues who are committed to connecting with students in a really meaningful way and helping them to identify their passions and their goals, and getting that everything set up to step out into their adult life with all the skills they need and to thrive with excellence and joy.
That's amazing. So what are some of the first things you plan to do when school starts in August to start building those relationships with students?
Well, I set the bar pretty high during our interview process when I said that I'll know all the students in the building within the first 6 weeks, and that's a commitment that I'm taking very seriously. So I genuinely enjoy connecting with students, and I'm really looking forward to being in the spaces where they are, out in the hallways during passing times, in the cafeteria, just talking with them, building those beginning conversations and connections, and then supporting student initiatives, whether it's before and after school activities, or if they're involved in the community in some way, being there to support them in those activities. And so, yeah, you can hold me to it. We're looking forward to it.
You know, that I totally believe you when you say you are going to know each and every one of our students in the first 6 weeks. Can you talk about how you go about building those authentic relationships, though? It's not enough to probably just be present.
Yeah.
What does that sound like when you're engaging with students?
Well, I think that adolescents have a really good barometer for whether or not your desire to connect with them is genuine. And so I think leading with authenticity is going to be very valuable. And then just finding things. So I'm kind of very multifaceted, right? So I love sports, I love being outdoors, nature, like just finding those little ways that we can connect with one another, that maybe we have something in common, an interest in common or something like that, and building from there. So I'm really excited about that, but I really do think that students know when you're trying to connect with them for genuine reasons. And so, I think they'll find that to be true of me.
You can already tell. And I would just say that, like, what an amazing opportunity at Des Moines Prep, where we're incoming with maximum 150 students. Like, a normal counselor does not have the ability to check in on each and every student just because of their sheer caseload. You are really going to be able to build those strong foundational relationships with both students and families right out of the gate, and be around for a long 4 to 5 years with them through our process and really grow alongside them, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
That's great. So Allison, let's talk a little bit about how you form relationships with your students in your classroom. What does that look like?
I love to play games with the kids, and like Jean said, they know if you're being fake or not. So being really real and upfront and honest with them definitely goes a long way with my students. And seeing how competitive they get over a game of Uno is really telling for some of our kids. And also just reminding them that I'm a safe place. If they can't come to me, they can go to Jean, and I'm sure everybody else in our building will always have their doors open for them.
That's very true. And I think a lot of students appreciate that about you. And I know that I've seen that in your classroom, Allison. But at the same time, you seem to strike a balance of like holding students to high expectations as well. Can you talk a little bit about just your commitment to that end of things, knowing that you have IEP goals to be monitoring and data to support? So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so we work first and then we have fun later. My job is to make sure that you are meeting your goal. And if you're not meeting your goal, we're going to have a real conversation about how you need to meet your goal. And that can be really difficult sometimes and definitely can break the relationship, but you have to go back and, like you were talking about, do the restorative conversation. So bringing them back, being like, hey, I just want what I know you could do. And really holding them to that high standard.
So Allison, you were initially in elementary education, and then you went back to go get your master's degree in special education. What do you love the most about helping students that have unfinished learning or maybe just need a little bit of extra support?
I love being able to fill in the gaps. I'm currently co-teaching pre-algebra and algebra right now. So initially when the lesson is taught, they may not understand it. They come back and they're like, I have no idea what's going on. And if I sit there and break it down with them one-on-one, working one-on-one really helps, or even finding a different way to explain it to them. Like taking the square root of numbers has been really challenging these past few days.
That sounds great. So Jean, this next question's for you. So there are some confidentiality aspects when it comes to working as a counselor. Can you talk a little bit about how you communicate with families and how you bring parents into the process of supporting students?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, when you're working with adolescents, it can be kind of a nuanced balance because you have to be able to build trust with students, and they have to know that you are a safe place where they can come if they're struggling with something or they need questions to be answered. But obviously, parents also have a right to know how their students doing. They need to be included in their overall well-being, including their academic, their social and emotional well-being as well, right? And so I will always work to include parents and make sure that they are aware of everything that's going on, but I'll try to do so in a way that maintains that trust with their student and keeps their student safe. And then when I'm working with students, I obviously always explain to them kind of like my obligations, my legal obligations, and what it means to be a mandatory reporter, so that if they were to share with me that they were going to harm themselves or someone else, or that someone was harming them, that I legally have to disclose that information to their parent or guardian. But what's worked for me well in the past when I've needed to do that was to be upfront with the students, to tell them like, hey, I do have to share this information with your guardian. How would you like to approach this together? How can I make sure that, even though it might be a difficult conversation, that you are supported in a way that's meaningful to you? That has always worked very well for me. And I definitely want to make sure, I'm a parent of young adults myself, so I definitely understand the importance of keeping parents involved in their child's development, and also building that trusting relationship with parents so they know that their student is well supported.
I really appreciate that. And being a parent of students now in elementary school, much different age level, obviously, just that importance of a family connection and parents
Yeah.
feeling like they know what's going on in the school and feel connected to that experience that students are having every day. You just can't put a price tag on that.
Right.
And I think that, again, coming back to our size, being a smaller, safer community, that's something that we can offer that other places just cannot due to the size alone. It's not difficult for us to notice when a student is not having a great day, because we're going to see it the second they walk in through the door. I'm going to be greeting them every single day as they walk in through the door, and I'm sure both of you would be as well.
Yeah.
And so the moment that we realize something's not going very well or maybe going normal, we're going to be able to sweep them up, bring them into an office, sit down, and just have those honest conversations. And then we're going to take the time to involve the family so that way they know exactly what's going on during the school day. No surprises, right?
Yeah, absolutely well said.
So Gene, while you have the mic, I'm going to ask you another question here. You have such a diverse array of experiences, professional experiences, but most recently you've been in the corporate world,
Yes.
which is quite the transition,
Yeah.
right? But we're all learners, we're all growing, and we're figuring things out. I'm interested to hear from you. What has that experience taught you, and maybe what will that professional corporate experience, what can you bring to Des Moines Prep from that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that I'm bringing back to education from working in corporate training is having a systematic approach to learning and teaching, and also communication with parents and families. So to be systematic in my approach to doing so, tracking when was the last time I had contact with these parents or guardians, and have I seen every student this quarter, that type of thing. So using that systematic approach, but also one of the things that I have loved about my previous role is the collaborative approach, the sharing of information, the willingness to jump in and learn together and develop new training curriculum as a team. Very excited to bring that collaborative, positive team approach to Des Moines Prep.
It will be very much welcomed. So Allison, your turn here. Can you give us your favorite memory from all your years of teaching? I know that's a big question.
It's a big question, and there are too many to count, but currently the past 2 years that I've been working at Woodward Granger, my co-teacher and I have been able to exit 16 students off of their IEPs. And then along with that, we've also been able to drop goals as students have met their goals. So just being able to see students be successful in and out of the classroom, and knowing that they always want to tell me something new. So I have a couple kids right now who are really interested in cars, and I learn something new about a vehicle every single day.
That's great. And I've been a part of those conversations before, and there is no better feeling than talking to a student about how they've met their goal and how additional services or whatever might make them feel different are no longer needed. And you're one of the best at getting those outcomes for kids, and that's why I'm so excited for you to be joining Des Moines Prep. So can you share a little bit about why you're excited to be joining Des Moines Prep?
Yes, so I'm very excited to join Des Moines Prep, especially after hearing about the iJag partnership. Parents with students who have students with an IEP know that once they hit eighth grade, they hit age 14, that transition component becomes really, really important in the IEP. And while in traditional schools, it feels like it's done in isolation. And I know that at Des Moines Prep, the transition stuff is not going to be done in isolation. We're going to be working on it every day, all throughout the week. Not only am I working on it, but also the other teachers in the building are working on it as well, versus I feel like in a traditional setting, it's just me doing the transition stuff.
Yeah, and that's way too important of a detail to just leave to chance, right? I think that students that are lucky enough to have a resource teacher that is sitting down and talking to them on a regular basis about that are really lucky, but all kids deserve someone like that. And so to have those supports put in place for the entire school and then have you as that additional support, that's really when things are going to amplify for all students, not just students with IEPs. Okay, so let's not sugarcoat it. Your work is hard, both of you. Like being a counselor, being a special education teacher, that is really, really hard work. What keeps you coming back? That's a question for both of you.
That is a really difficult question, but what keeps me coming back is one, building the relationships, and two, seeing those students be successful and building that confidence, especially as they know that they have somebody else on their side. So it's not just someone telling them they can't do it, it's you being their cheerleader and being like, yes, you can do it, and their confidence builds.
Yeah, absolutely. It is difficult work at times, but it's also very fulfilling work. And it's fulfilling exactly because of what Allison says. When you see students who have struggled in either academics or with their social relationships or emotionally with their mental health, and they have been getting support and building skills in those areas, and you see them get those wins, it just is incredibly inspiring, and it gives you the fuel that you need to just keep coming back and being willing to keep up that work that you know is challenging, but you also can see where they're headed.
Absolutely. So let's wrap up this part of the session by finishing with one more common question. What's one thing you want our students or families to know about you that we haven't already talked about?
I would say I would want our parents and guardians to know that they would be hard pressed to find someone who's going to be, besides themselves, of course, more committed to their children's success. I truly gauge my own professional success by the success of those who I'm serving. And then for my students, I just want you all to know how excited I am to get to know you and get to learn about the things that kind of light you up. But also I'm excited to be in the halls and in the cafeteria and getting my slang refreshed and just having fun, joking, and connecting with kids. So.
Well, Jean totally took my answer, but I am going to be your student's biggest cheerleader and biggest advocate, but I'm also going to continue to hold them to those high expectations. And along with Jean, I will also be working on my slang. And if you don't want me to use it, don't use it around me.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you both for being here this evening and opening up a little bit so our families, both prospective and current, can get to know the amazing people we have coming aboard this magnificent mission here. So now we're going to transition into some Q&A. As we've been talking this evening, folks have been throwing questions into the chat, kind of interjecting their thoughts as we've kind of moved through a lot of information this evening. And rest assured, if we don't get to your question tonight, I promise we will follow up with you and get you an answer as quickly as we can. I have a few of those questions here, and I wasn't 100% sure if I was just going to have to answer all of them, or if they would be some questions you two could help me answer. And they're actually, at least the first one, is something, Jean, I think you could help me with. Okay. The first question is, will counselors have small group friendship groups, such as morning meetings or something like that?
That's a great question. I would imagine that we'll have some type of groups like that, or check and connect is kind of like a common term that we use in education, where it just means checking in with students, kind of maybe setting them up for a successful school day, and then checking out at the end of the day to see how things have gone. But honestly, I think that we'll know those answers best once we start to connect with our students and we know what their needs are. If we see kind of a common denominator, hey, we have 5 or 6 kids who are struggling in a particular area or would benefit from certain conversations that we could have as a group, then we'll absolutely do group skill building type of activities. But then, you know, if it's something more delicate, more confidential, there'll be kind of one-on-one counseling going on as well. So our student needs will definitely drive that. But that's likely something that would be included. Just from my previous experience, it will be, common.
Sure. And I appreciate your openness to just being responsive to what's in front of us, right? If the kids are driving, we want a small group. You seem very open to that idea.
Yeah.
But if we need a small group and that's, your opinion, I think you'll make that happen for them as well.
Yeah, I used to have a group called Mugs and Muffins with Mrs. M. And it was a really great group. We met Wednesday mornings, and we did have coffee and muffins every week. It was really fun.
There is a muffin shop very close to our school, so that might need to continue on. This next one, Allison, you can actually help me answer it. Isn't it fun to answer questions on the fly? Allison, how will you meet and teach learning goals daily? Like, how do you foresee serving student IEPs?
I'm undetermined at that point, but my idea is they will either be assigned to me during a block, but it's also going to depend on the number of minutes in a student's IEP. And then, or was thinking about connecting with the math and the ELA department and pushing into those classrooms to meet those minutes as well.
It's dependent upon the IEP and the services required, right? And we haven't gotten our hands into those documents yet to fully understand whether or not pushing in is appropriate or pulling out. We have to figure out exactly how those services will be provided. But again, I appreciate your willingness to collaborate with teachers and the students and families to figure out what does success look like here and how do we accomplish that for each individual student. It's great. So this next question is probably more for me, so you guys are off the hook on this one. Do you estimate that you will meet the 150 student goal? And thank you for the question, and I would say the answer to that is yes. I'm very confident that we're going to get there. As I said at the beginning of our webinar together, I'm not 100% sure exactly how the numbers will fall. My gut tells me we're going to have two cohorts of 8th grade that'll hit about 50 students in total, and then we will have 100 ninth graders as well. We have been talking to families for a few months now, but we still have months and months ahead of us going into our first school year, and that takes time. I never want to paint an unrealistic picture for our students and families at home, but every single day we see new applications coming in, and each one of those families is getting an individualized conversation with either our Dean of Culture or myself, and that just takes time. And so as we continue through these summer months and more people are beginning to now just hear about Des Moines Prep, we are on a trajectory that tells us that we are going to be fully enrolled by the first day of school. But I can't predict the future. I can just look at the data and respond to it, but we feel very confident. This next question, also probably for me, is how much of the school day is dedicated to iJag? And so that's a great question. iJag will be called College and Career Preparation. That'll be the official title of the course, if not College and Career Pathways. And it'll sit on every student's schedule their 9th grade year. And so you will see it just like a normal class. This isn't just a one-off thing that you will do like once a week. This is just on your schedule like every other class. And we're going to commit the time and the resources towards ensuring that college and career exploration is something that we talk about on a routine basis. And so you can plan to have that on your student schedule. What that looks like at the 8th grade level is also probably a course, but probably not something that they have to take for both semesters of their 8th grade year. That is more of an exploratory, and so we won't need as much time as dedicating 2 entire semesters like we will at the 9th grade level. Great question. Are there any on-site therapists is the next question. And the answer is no, not at this time. However, there are community partnerships that we have been engaging with, and not knowing exactly what services our students are going to require at this time, it's really hard to solidify those. However, we have been in discussions with local therapists from the city of Des Moines, as well as some more national organizations through telehealth that would give our students access to therapy services if that's something that they needed. And so our commitment, and I would think Jean would also echo me in this, is that whatever our students need in order to be successful with their social emotional well-being, we're going to find a way to make that happen for them during, before, or after the school day.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next question is there an opportunity for students to attend school virtually if they're out sick? And I think that that's a great question. 2020 changed a lot of things for school districts across the country, or really across the world. And one of those things that we can take away as a learning experience from that is how we can be flexible and pivot to online learning or asynchronous learning platforms when needed. Our preference at Des Moines Prep is that students are in person in a seat or out in the community learning amongst their peers. And really, it comes down to just what we believe benefits students in the long term. That collaboration piece, that teaming, the engaging with business professionals is such an important piece of our mission and what we're trying to do for students, that students being present for school is just something you can't substitute for anything else. Now, with that said, we are absolutely committed to working with our families as issues pop up, as those outlier examples kind of fall into place throughout a school year. We're going to work with you. Just please be proactive, please be transparent, and we are more than willing to come to the table and create an individualized plan for any student's long-term success if that's what's required. However, again, just on a regular sick day basis, we will have work that can be available and done from home, but that is not going to be something that we offer as an attendance day, if that makes any sense. Do we have any more questions before we wrap up for the evening? Okay. This next question is one that I get pretty frequently, and so I want to make sure that I take the time to answer it. Can students join more than one club or activity? And I absolutely love that question because it comes back to students finding passion, joy, community in our building, and the answer is absolutely yes. We want our students engaged, and that's why we make it a part of our 4 Cs at Des Moines Prep. So if students have a passion for the arts, if they want to be involved in a club, if they want to start a club or start a sport, we want to support them in that effort. And we are going to have some flexibility at the end of our school day to give students the ability to pursue passion projects of theirs. And then, of course, the end of the school day will hit, and then we'll have even more opportunity for students to participate in sports and extracurriculars and clubs and arts. We want to build those with you. I don't want to be the one that has to tell you that these are the sports we have available or these are the clubs that we're going to present for you. We really want to have student voice in that, and that's kind of part of being a founding student, is helping us drive those conversations forward of what opportunities do we want to have available and how many of them do you want to join in on. And so I love the question and absolutely want to support students in participating in as many activities as possible. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and transition into our closing for this evening. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I hope that from this 1-hour webinar, you've learned a little bit more specifically about our programming related to pathways in college and career planning, but also some of the amazing people that we're bringing on board to bring this mission to life. We do have spots available at Des Moines Prep, and I want to emphasize that you can go on our website today and you can apply for an 8th or a 9th grade application, and it'll only take you a couple of minutes. If you have any questions while you're filling out that application, or you have questions that weren't answered this evening and you want to follow up to get those answers, my information should be up on the screen for you. That is my personal work phone number. You can feel free to call or text, and that is my email. We do our best to be as responsive as we can. In under 24 hours, you should get an answer back from me. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and go Trailblazers.